on the SiriusXM app filled with ad-free music made for everything you do. Mashup channels, workout channels, channels for parties, or just chilling out and more. Expertly curated for any mood, occasion, or activity. Extra channels let you discover new music and enjoy even more variety from every decade and music style you love. Plus, you can watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows with SiriusXM Video. And you can do it all along with listening in your car as part of our music and entertainment plan. Right now, we're offering SiriusXM subscription plans for as low as $6 a month, plus fees and taxes. Call 844-711-8800 to find out more about these amazing offers.
The one. Now, experience Latin heartthrob Maluma in an exclusive SiriusXM and Pandora performance captured live Super Bowl week in Las Vegas. Maluma. In concert from the theater at Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. Listen anytime and anywhere with the all-new SiriusXM app. Just search Maluma.
Anywhere you take your phone, you can take Howard Stern, NFL Radio, and commercial-free music channels from nearly every genre. Channels vary by subscription plan. You never have to miss your favorite SiriusXM programs or commercial-free music. Find the SiriusXM app in the App Store or call 844-711-8800 or visit SiriusXM.com/app to find out more.
And the rest. That define a decade. I know you want it. A channel with non-stop pop anthems from the 2010s. The 10 spot, Channel 11, and in the SXM app, included with all trials and popular plans.
To hear this channel, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or head to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
There you go now. I think everything. Oh, let's see. There you go now. I think everything. Oh, let's see.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you, as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me and people who love the universe. What a beautiful day on a beautiful Thursday, February 22nd, 2024. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit ya, where the good Lord split ya. Let's roll a dominant fleet of Cadillac cars. Really do appreciate that. I want to say on such a beautiful day, Thursday in Denver Hills, California, expecting maybe some rain coming up later in the week. But I want to say I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives. And a lie detector. I found a lie detector at a dollar store, if that makes sense to you. It told me the truth, though. It told me the truth. I want to say the commercials are done. The stats are provided. The storytelling, I do the play-by-play. And then I upload the show. It goes out to 29 podcast applications out of New York City. And I'm in Denver Hills, California. And then 4 TV platforms streaming: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. And I never missed a show since creating Big C Sports with the crew back in the days of Salem Media. I want to give that some praise. I said, give me praise, praise, praise. because we all need somebody to give praise to. What I love praising is the California reparations. Yes! They're saying yes to reparations. Right now, they just had a meeting yesterday. Senator Stephen Bradford and several others with the California Legislative Black Caucus. They put their thoughts on paper, and now they're saying the train is rolling, if that makes sense. Give the train rolling some praise. You ever been on a train and it didn't roll? Well, this train is rolling. Really do appreciate that. Another train that's rolling is the Veterans Crisis Hotline. I really do appreciate the Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You know anybody going through issues, pick up the phone and call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. If you want to text, go to 838-255. That's 838-255. And give them some praise, because we all need somebody to lean on. And I know I do. It's nice leaning on somebody when somebody's leaning back. I want to say what I do love about Big C Sports Podcast, because it's growing by leaps and bounds. But I also want to say I think I'm the only sports show in the universe that will pay homage to a California Reparations task force, because a mine is a terrible thing to waste. And ironically, when I heard the California Legislative Black Caucus come out yesterday, and they were talking about some of the findings and discoveries that they found with reparations, I felt, not that I needed it to feel vindicated, but I felt even more vindicated that Big C Sports has been talking about it every day, Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock p.m. worldwide. Really do appreciate that. That's called being prescient. And I do appreciate the task force. I want to give praise to the California Reparations Task Force, because, as I said, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. The chair, Camila Moore, she's brilliant. I love giving her praise. Dr. Emmett C. Brown, the vice chair, he's brilliant. I love giving him praise. And then the number one senator in the United States of America, in my opinion, is California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. He's part of the California Reparations Task Force, but he helped craft name, image, and likeness that helps college athletes get paid, student athletes get paid on their name, image, and likeness. That used to only go to the colleges, if that makes sense to you. He also helped sponsor the Ebony Alert that helps law enforcement put the same amount of resources into fighting young missing Black Americans as it does with Caucasian Americans with the Amber Alert. Really do appreciate him. And I want to thank Councilmember Monica Montgomery Steppe. She's brilliant. Love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, also professor at California Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I'm going to give praise to Attorney Donald K. Tamaki. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. Give them all praise, 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 because we all need somebody to lean on. And as I always told you, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I want to thank This Is CNN, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. Really do appreciate that. I want to thank Double O Payout Committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. He sent me this article back in the day called Executive Order 13985. And it's on advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. That's the White House that came out from President Biden. Really do appreciate her. I want to thank Georgetown University. They pledged over $1 billion in reparations and counting to descendants of chattel slavery that actually were sold off. They were sold to help build Georgetown. Could you imagine somebody taking your child and selling your child off to help build a university? But that's what happened to Black Americans. So for anyone that says we don't deserve reparations, you must be out. What did Leonard Nimoy tell Spock one time in the movie Star Trek? And I remember it very clearly. He said, Spock, you must be out of your Vulcan mind. He said Vulcan. So clean your mouth out for some of you who think I said Vulcan. If that makes sense to you. I also want to thank Double O Payout Committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. He sent me an article from the United Nations. It said that strong leadership and political will are crucial to ensure reparatory justice for people of African descent. I love giving that praise. Give it praise, 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 because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I really do appreciate that. I want to thank This Is T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. I want to thank PNC Private Bank, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. I want $6 billion, and I'm not sucking and jiving. And I want to do that. I want to say, I want someone to protect my assets, if that makes sense to you. I want to thank RDC with the Big C team, because with RDC Consulting Inc., we have long-term care solutions by the book, over 3 decades of experience. helping you with Medicare, also taking care of tomorrow, and Medi-Cal is what it's called in California. I want to tell you it's important your family can and spouse can avoid the spend down for California nursing home costs, and you can find out your options. We specialize to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your assets, if that makes sense to you. Without a spend down in California, all paperwork and communications with all government agencies are handled by our staff of entitlement specialists. Our ongoing consultants provide updates as necessary, benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescriptions, medication, equipment costs, and more protection of your assets, if that makes sense to you. Did you say Aflac? No, Aflac is Gap Insurance. I'm protecting your assets, if that makes sense to you, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family, avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program, a one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for your life. And what I want to say, give that some praise. Give it praise. And why do you say give it praise, Big C? Because as I talk to financial planners around the country, more and more are gravitating to what I'm seeing. Big C Sports, Charlton Curry, the Big C team with RDC Consulting, endorsed by the California Department of Aging, California Black Chamber of Commerce, National Black Wall Street Project co-chair, and our team is dedicated to help you protect your assets, if that makes sense to you. Give that some praise. Everybody wants to have their asset protected, especially when you don't have it protected. I want to make sure I do that because I've heard a lot of people say they like that commercial. And one person said to me when I was talking to her about protecting their assets, and she said, "Well, how do you protect a person's assets?" I said, just like when you go to the club, don't let someone buy you a drink because they may be after your assets, if that makes sense to you. You got to be careful. Don't let someone give you a drink and invite you to a nightclub. I got to tell this true story. I'm always trying to recruit people to financial services. And there are times when I meet people by various ways, and people start out by saying, "Hey, I really want to work with you. I really want to see if we're a good fit to work together. I love what you're doing with the Big C Sports Podcast. I love what you're doing helping people protect their assets, if that makes sense to you." And then that goes great. I say, "Send me some of your information about what you do, and I'll send you some information about what I do." And then the person later says, "I was wondering if I'm not being too forward, if I can meet you to talk about your asset protection." I said, "I just sent you the information. What do you want to meet about?" And sometimes, I told you about this lie detector test. Yeah, I got it at the $1.25 store, but it works. I'm telling you, this stuff works. So sometimes when people tell you they want to meet you, I always ask, what do you want to meet for? I just told you we're about business. And that person, she says, "Well, I want to meet to talk about your assets." I said, "I only want to meet for business." And that person says, "Well, can I buy you a drink?" I said, "No, I don't want to look at your assets. I want to protect my assets," if that makes sense to you. Be careful, men. It's not just men that do that to women. They want to buy you a drink and tell you they're going to make you rich if you let them see your assets, if that makes sense to you. Well, at least if they want something, let them ask for it up front. But a lot of people play shenanigans. Men tell women, "I'm going to make you rich as long as you let me see your assets," if that makes sense to you. Well, ladies do the same thing to men. Some ladies say to a man, "I'm going to help you. In fact, I'm going to help you get so much business. I'm going to be your best agent as long as you let me see your assets," if that makes sense to you. Protect yourself, if that makes sense to you. I told you I got that lie detector test. I got it from the dollar store. But that stuff works. You don't have no idea how many times it's helped me protect my assets. Because I don't let people play games with me. You got to tell me what you want to meet for. But sometimes if you put a worm on a hook, sometimes a fish will bite it. That fish will bite your assets, if that makes sense to you. Be careful letting people buy your drinks because sometimes all they want is to get at your assets. Don't let that happen. That's what I'm telling you. That lie detector works. I used to doubt them, but I don't doubt them anymore because I have it in writing. You know, something else I want to say about the reparations that's happening in California, and a lot of athletes know it too. I believe in having real dialogue with Big C Sports Podcast. And I've talked to many sports agents and also real estate agents. I want to talk to some other people that are a part of the financial services because opening up offices all over the country. Want to thank Jim for getting his contract back in Chicago, Illinois. Give that some praise. Going to go in the Midwest as well, helping people protect their assets, especially when it's cold. When it's cold in Chicago, it is 22 degrees. You need to wear some long johns to protect your assets, if that makes sense to you. And now we'll be able to do that with the Big C team. I want to say something about sports. I was talking about Dak Prescott in his big contract they're talking about signing, like $60 million a year. If it comes together, then that's great. I wish him nothing but the best, and I hope that he can find a way to really grow with what he's doing. I want to talk about for Big C Sports and the Big C team, because with what we do, with so many endorsements, I'm reaching out to ask people to work with us. And I have another partner that's coming on board in Brooklyn, New York, to join the Big C team to help people protect their assets, if that makes sense to you. But I want to talk about it's Black History Month. We got to all protect our Black History Month because they're looking for your assets, if that makes sense to you. The voting rights, I'm telling you, they're trying to do away with things. You got to understand, we got to all be protected. It's all fun, what they say, all fair level war until somebody loses an eye. I don't want to lose an eye. I just want to protect my assets. I got to tell you something it's just so powerful because it's Black History Month. And I was talking to someone about doing some work with us, and the person said, so why would I join you? And I said, because we have statewide endorsement for our products. We have over 3 decades of experience, and we have some of the top attorneys in California. And not only that, we're helping people go to work. And give that some praise. Give that some praise. It's important. I want to talk about some of the top insurance companies in the United States of America that are African-American owned. And sometimes people don't know about that. But with the Big C team, I tell you, we're going to become a $1 billion company, and it's about working with people. So African-American owned insurance firms, leading Black-owned insurance companies, and right now the number one is in North Carolina. And it's North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance Company, founded in 1898, and then incorporated on February 28th, 1899. I'm trying to make a contact with them to work with the Big C team to help more families protect their assets, if that makes sense to you, along with Big C Sports and RDC. The firm was established with the intention of providing services to the underserved communities by John C. Merrick, who was born into slavery and grew up to become an African-American entrepreneur, just like Big C Sports. It was the first African-American owned insurance company in the state and the largest in the nation at that time. You want to give that some praise. It's important to give that praise because there are times when people just would not do business, mainstream people, with African Americans. And among the time, the company's offerings are life insurance, health, disability, and annuity products to individuals and groups. Currently, the company services over 200,000 individual policyholders. In addition, there are over 250,000 people covered under their group policies nationwide. And that's great. And what I want to talk to them about is joining with the Big C team and helping those same policyholders protect their assets, if that makes sense to you. Aflac? No, Aflac is gap insurance. I'm not a duck. Now, I may sound like a duck, and some people say, in fact, I told you I bought a lie detector test at the dollar store. That thing works. You can ask it anything, and it tells you the truth. You can ask it about people. It tells you what they're up to. And I said, I've heard before, if it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. But if it's a duck, can it protect your ass? Says, if that makes sense to you. That's the case. The lie detector test, it told me my birthday. It told me where I was born. It told me my height. It told me my weight. It even told me my favorite dessert. It told me what I like to eat. I mean, collard greens is not a hard guess. Anybody can look at me and assume that. But it was so accurate. I think it was accurate, and I'm going to keep it. I'm going to start using it on people. It's number 2. Atlanta Life Insurance. It's Black History Month. Atlanta Life Insurance Company was founded over 100 years ago by Alonzo Franklin Herndon, who was a former slave. Now, think about you as an African-American, and we know the economy's having layoffs. Last hired, first fired when you go work with mainstream companies. Well, starting off at a barbershop, Alonzo transitioned into the insurance industry after his barbershop was destroyed during the 1905 Atlanta race riots. He not only grew up to become an original member of the NAACP, but also Georgia's first African-American millionaire. You got to give him some praise. I'm going back to the 1900s. Doing Jim Crow. That's why I'm saying Big C Sports will become a billion-dollar company. Because we're not dealing with Jim Crow, at least in the public eye. There may be more clandestine ways of Jim Crow now, and I know that with business. But if you can become an African-American millionaire in 1905 with Jim Crow, don't tell me you can't do it now. 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, and tell them Big C sent you. And now among the insurance services offered by Atlanta Life Insurance Company include personal insurance, commercial insurance, and group insurance. And I'm reaching out to them to join the Big C team as we cover people all over the country, business owners and individuals, helping them all protect their assets, if that makes sense to you. In fact, I was talking to my lie detector that I bought today at a dollar store. And I was saying, well, how do I know what someone's thinking when I'm talking to them? How do you really know somebody's intention? Because a lot of people can be clandestine. They can be nefarious. They can tell you two different things because they don't remember what they told you the first time. But I talked to my lie detector test, and it said you got to make sure you protect your assets in this line of work. Because as I was at a meeting, we even have liar's insurance. We have liar's insurance because a lot of people lie. my lie detector told me that. And then it's Black History Month. Booker T. Washington Insurance Company. The Booker T. Washington Insurance Company, Incorporated, was founded in 1923 by Dr. A.G. Gaston, and then incorporated in 1931. The company was among the 10 largest Black-owned life insurance companies in the country until 2006. And when it was ordered into rehabilitation, its wholly owned subsidiary, Universal Life Insurance Company, was ordered into rehabilitation April 24, 2009. The company is currently located in Birmingham, Alabama. Among the insurance services offered by the company include life insurance, accident, and health covers. And what I'm reaching out to them to ask them is to join the Big C team in RDC in helping businesses with liability protect their assets, if that makes sense to you. So that conversation will be happening soon. And now, as appropriate as it may seem, you know, when something's appropriate as it may seem with the Big C team, I'm telling you, there's times when you just hit a home run, and it's almost as if like the universe lined it up for you. I can't make this stuff up because I'm in California. The largest state in the union is California. People come to California, or they originally came to California, and they were looking for gold. They were trying to find gold so they could be part of the American dream. And the gold rush that started in California, a lot of people came here so they could participate and try to build their own wealth. And that's important. It's Black History Month. Golden State Mutual Life Insurance Company. The Golden State Mutual Life Insurance Company was founded by William Nickerson Jr., George A. Beavers Jr., Norman O. Houston on July 23rd, 1925. Their mission was to provide African Americans with employment opportunities, like the Big C team is 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, and just tell them Big C sent you. So it was looking to provide employment opportunities as well as insurance services. So what I'm doing is nothing new. They were doing this back in 1925. For 84 years, Golden State Mutual grew to become one of the largest African-American owned insurance companies by the 1980s. Golden State Mutual was struggling to maintain profitability because of the economic decline. And as a result, Golden State Mutual policies were taken over by IA American Life Insurance Company in 2009. Now, some of the services offered by IA American Life Insurance Company include life insurance, accident, and supplemental health insurance. But I'm reaching out to them to work with the BC team in RDC to help more of their clients protect their assets, if that makes sense to you. And I may want to even insure my lie detector because that thing works. That thing works. That's a praise. I really do appreciate that. I love having fun with Big C Sports. And ironically, I love talking about things that I'm going to bring up. And It may or may not be for everybody, because on the federal level, they say, oh, it's a no. But I put my lie detector test to it. And some of the people that create legislation about what I'm going to talk about, they use the product too. I don't use it, but that's okay. I've been around it. So, boxing legend, what Mike Tyson once said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the nose. Well, I don't want to get punched in the nose. But I do want to say, for you sports people and people in mainstream environments, if you're looking for work, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. But I want to tell you, boxing legend Mike Tyson, they call him Iron Mike Tyson, he calls out President Biden, and he wants clemency for all federal marijuana offenders. Now, Mr. Tyson is an entrepreneur in the cannabis industry. I'm not going to mention his brand, and I don't want him to punch me in the nose for not mentioning it. At the same time, maybe that'd be a good retirement policy to get punched in the nose by Mike Tyson. Not that I want that to happen anytime soon. But I want to say it's an industry that is growing by leaps and bounds. And not everybody approves of it. And I got to say, because I want to say it because I listen, my show's for everybody. I'm not condemning or condoning anything that people do for business. I was in Las Vegas not long ago, and they were talking about a convention where people were smoking stuff. And it's amazing how many people do that. And then talking to people recently about cannabinoids that can help you when it comes to dealing with chronic issues like high blood pressure that's prescribed to a lot of African Americans, whether we need it or not. I'm just saying, listen to your doctor. There are always people that say, hey, dude, use my product and I can make you whole. As long as you let me buy you a drink. But when it comes to real medical help, I don't mind sharing the knowledge of what I hear because I think it's important. To me, I just want to make sure that I talk about things that I know about, and I don't want to be guessing. But when you think about what Mike Tyson's doing and asking President Joe Biden to make a change and offer clemency to a lot of people who've been harmed by being, unfortunately, put in a system of incarceration. I don't know. I'm not even, in my opinion, an expert to talk about it because I do know a lot of professional athletes and they talk about at times when they've tried certain things as opposed to being prescribed opioids. I know a lot of professional athletes and that stuff, it bothers them. It causes problems. And for me, I'm not one to say whether they should do it or should not do it. But when you think about former heavyweight champion Mike Tyson, and he sent a letter to President Biden, and he was asking President Biden for clemency. Whether people agree with him or not, I think Mike Tyson has a point. Because there's too many people that are caught up in the system where they get hurt. And they spent time behind bars for something that many people say they do anyway. And I don't know, I'm not condoning anything. But I'm just saying, if a legend and a boxer, Mike Tyson, can ask for President Biden to release people that have what you call maybe a violation of something that many people are saying that cannabinoids can help cure some illnesses. And if you're an athlete, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of these guys get broken up playing football, and especially in boxing and mixed martial arts. I know a lot of MMA guys that have a hard time functioning, even cognitively or physically, because the sport is such a brutal sport. So I would just like to say, for people that have their own thoughts about it, you can look into it and see medically if it's for you. It may or may not be for you. But when you have that industry growing throughout the country, who's to say that you shouldn't do it? Or that you should do it? I know for me personally, I would love to get off of medications, but I'm not so foolish to just stop cold turkey because I know it's helped me stay alive longer. It just has. My blood pressure, when I went to the dentist just the other day, I think it was 115/62, which means, according to doctors, that chances are I'll live a longer life and healthier life. So, former heavyweight champion Mike Tyson sent a letter to President Biden at the White House requesting clemency for all federal marijuana offenders. As he says, the war on marijuana is over. And Tyson he's a cannabis entrepreneur with his company, and he called for President Biden to uphold his campaign promise to release incarcerated marijuana offenders. And he said, I write in support of granting clemency to marijuana offenders still incarcerated in federal prison, restoring civil rights to those haunted by the federal marijuana conviction. The letter to the White House from Mike Tyson is a powerful letter. And he said in September 2021, you received a letter from the Weldon Project signed by dozens of artists, athletes, lawmakers, law enforcement officials, academics, business leaders, policy experts, reform advocates, and other professionals asking you to issue a general pardon for federal marijuana offenders. So today, Mike Tyson said, I joined the Weldon Project with some entertainers, Drake, the Killer Mike, T.I., Deion Sanders, Bella Thorne, the late Jim Brown, that was in that letter as well, and many others calling upon you to end the madness of federal marijuana prohibition. And there was an article also that came out for Reparations that made the same kind of plea to the federal government when it comes to the 14th Amendment and they get this unfair incarceration where people lose their rights for whatever offense they have. Well, I got to say this is an important article because a lot of sports athletes, they swear by the use of cannabinoids to help them solve their problems. I can't confirm or deny, but I do know that former ball player, there were times when I had my own type of pain. And for me, I'm going to tell you, I knew a lot of guys that did whatever they had to do to get better. Who's to say you can't use something that's natural, but you can get prescribed things from your physician that we know may have some negative side effects down the road? Now, this is important, especially for people in athletics, because I know what a lot of guys do that may be banned by the league, and if they get caught, they serve a suspension for something that they swear is helping them heal faster. Now, how do you punish people for using something that comes out of the ground, but you don't punish them and you prescribe to them things that come out of a pharmacy manufactured? And this is from Mike Tyson. He said since he's been, as you mentioned, President Biden, since he's been in office, Biden has granted pardons for simple federal and D.C. possessions of marijuana offenses. But there are still at least 3,000 others currently incarcerated, serving marijuana-related sentences that even some people swear that the cannabinoids has helped their loved ones heal, where there are times the prescriptions didn't as well. I can't confirm or deny. I still say talk to your doctor. So September, the letter emphasized that the federal war on drugs, which has destroyed the black community with the crime bill that President Biden signed. He signed it. It massively incarcerated black Americans for doing the same things that white Americans were doing. So the letter emphasized that the federal war on drugs has crushed many souls and countless futures, while spreading intolerable levels of mistrust and dysfunction between minority communities and those sworn to protect and serve them. And Tyson said he grew up in neighborhoods where people lived in fear of drug warriors, and he's had a heavy cost paid by the poor and people of color, a big cost they had to pay, called incarceration. It's past time to reconcile with these communities. Tyson's letter continued. Marijuana, this is Mike Tyson's opinion, and I say adults can make up their own mind. But I do know people that use what they needed to self-medicate when maybe they did not have insurance to get it from a pharmacy. Who's to tell someone they got to suffer? So Mike Tyson, going back to what he talked about, he said that marijuana should not be a crime. Americans today reject marijuana prohibition in public opinion polls through legalization efforts across the nation, the United States government should no longer use marijuana as a reason to lock people up, especially African Americans and other people of color. Because we know, if you're honest, a lot of white Americans, they use the stuff with impunity. I've known many in college that use it almost every day. Not one that I knew was ever arrested for it. They would use it at parties. They would use it in the dorms. They would sell it to each other. But not one has a record of being incarcerated. I know many black Americans, African Americans, that don't have that same story. That's a fact. People that I love. The United States government, in Mike Tyson's words, should no longer use marijuana as a reason to lock people up. And I agree with them. You have presidents that say, I smoked, but I did not inhale. Never been to jail. I smoked, but I did not inhale. Never been to jail. So why so many black Americans, African Americans, locked up over that same thing? The United States government shall no longer use marijuana as a reason to lock people up, especially people of color. You know, if you're rich and you have your powder cocaine parties, people aren't going to jail for that. They get off. People hooked on fentanyl, they're not trying to send them to jail, which is also illegal. And that kills people. They're saying we want to put Narcan in the schools. So if someone gets an overdose of it, maybe they can save their lives. They're not talking about putting them in prison. So I agree that the United States government shall no longer use marijuana as a reason to lock people up. The first step is to release the remaining people incarcerated federally under America's war on marijuana to wipe out the slate clean for those convicted of federal marijuana offenses. When you have companies that give licensing to individuals to sell the cannabis, why are those people who are incarcerated for using it still in jail? And then the state of California is giving out permits for people to sell it. On December 22nd, 2023, President Biden issued a second proclamation that expanded the relief of the original one he made on October 6, 2022, to pardon simple marijuana possession offenses. This is so important because there's been a lot of communities that have been wiped out. On the December 2023 proclamation adds to the list of pardoned offenses the following offenses under federal law for attempted possession of marijuana: additional offenses under the D.C. Code for simple marijuana possession, and violations of certain sections of the Code of Federal Regulations involving simple marijuana possession and use. Now, the Office of the Pardon Attorney wrote at the time, this is so important, people. I know you want to stand up for a touchdown. Home, 3-point play. Old man Willie, he's going all the way. But me personally, I know too many young African-American people, their lives were harmed because of the draconian laws that did not affect white Americans at the same rate. When Nancy Reagan talked about the war on drugs, she wasn't talking about white suburban kids. And to my knowledge, they use it more than anybody. Based on what I've seen with my own studies in college and even out of college. You have so many people in business that want to start dispensaries. And in California, I think 9 out of 10 are Caucasian. They get licensed for it. So why aren't they representing 9 out of 10 people incarcerated? That's a fact. Who's going to protect the assets of people who are not meeting the profile to get it released? So the Office of the Pardon Attorney wrote at the time, the December 2023 proclamation also extends to the original proclamation by pardoning offenses for simple possession of marijuana violation of federal law prior to December 22nd, 2023. That's important because most people know somebody that uses that, what they call a recreational drug. But I do know a lot of professional athletes, they use something to get away the pain. To take away the pain. But if it's discovered in their blood test, then they can be fined by their team or suspended from the league. But they'll give you opioids. That's known, according to medical doctors, to be more harsh on the body than something that's natural growing out of the earth. So while a step in the right direction in the eyes of Mike Tyson and others, They want to see more done, considering 24 states in the country have legalized cannabis. 24 states. Only Idaho, Wyoming, Kansas, and South Carolina still have marijuana fully illegal. The war on marijuana is over, Mr. President, as seen in legalization efforts across the nation and in polls showing that most Americans oppose marijuana prohibition. Through a categorical clemency grant, you can declare an end to federal warfare on our own people and mark the beginning of a new era of peace and prosperity. Mike Tyson's letter ends there. But also, Iron Mike Tyson has long been an advocate for cannabis, saying it saved his life. Known as Iron Mike Tyson, one of the toughest guys in the universe, he said that it saved his life. And he's long been an advocate for cannabis. Years before he got into the fast-growing industry, he said he had thousands of people text him, FaceTime him, or Instagram messages, and where they're appreciative that I open up this business. Mike Tyson told Fox News Digital following his meet and greet session at ConBud in December that they're on the verge of suicide. All the horrific things that happen to people on habitual stuff like that. Now, I'm not an advocate for any illegal drug, but I'm saying I know my eyes are open. When you talk about cocaine or some of the ego-inflaming drugs, ironically, there was an incident that happened in Lake Tahoe just this month. There were 4 white adults, and they were partying in Lake Tahoe. And I guess the people that were expecting to hear from them didn't hear from them for a while. So they went on to see where they were, and they discovered that they had all, unfortunately, passed away. And when they had done the toxicology report based on the news, they were doing cocaine. It was laced with fentanyl. And they lost their lives. And some of the people that were part of the interview on television, they were mad at the person that laced it with the fentanyl, as opposed to the people that chose to snuff it up their nose. I'm not pro or con any of that stuff, because people do what they want to do. But what I've seen is that African Americans have been incarcerated at unfair numbers compared to the white counterparts that I've known that bragged about it and what they did to party. We all know about people who do that. So back to what Mike Tyson said. He says it humbles me to make it. It makes me very grateful that I'm participating in the cannabis business. Now listen to this for people in business, because I know lenders that are making efforts to get lending for cannabis projects, which seems to be a little bit more tighter now than it was even 2 years ago. But according to a study, as of 2022, cannabis was a $43.7 billion industry. By 2030, it's expected to be doing about $444 billion in business. Because there are a lot of people that swear that it's helping them protect their lives. In fact, myself personally, I've been propositioned by people saying you should try this. Don't cut off what you're doing with your doctor. Always talk to your doctor, but do your own research. Did I say research? Research. That's a new word, research. Do your own research. And so I'm looking at how I prolong my own well-being, but I'm going to stick to what my doctor says and ask my doctor about it. Even my doctor told me, well, he even uses cannabis. My doctor. And he said, all I can say is that maybe if you want to try it, see how it works for you. Because it may work different for you than it does for other people. My doctor that gave me prescription medication told me that. That's a fact. So the White House did not respond immediately to a request for a comment on Mike Tyson's letter. But it is something when you think about the war on drugs and what it did. It destroyed a lot of the black community. But at the same time, you didn't have the white community destroyed by it. As I'm telling you with my own two eyes, when I was in college especially, I hardly knew any person that was considered white or Caucasian that ever had a run-in with law enforcement. I can't say that about black Americans. That's important to me. Because if we don't learn to protect the assets of the black community, African-American community, for things that white Americans do with impunity, how is that fair? That's why, for me, I want to say what Mike Tyson is asking President Biden to do. I think that's important. It's important because if we don't stand up for people who are massively incarcerated for something that many people in the mainstream are doing, then that's egregious. And people know that's true. No matter who you are or what you do, there are people in this country that get away with things. Even President Biden, his own son, has some accusations against himself, and he's doing everything he can to protect his own son. Not only are we asking for President Biden to sign reparations now, reparations forever. I don't see the problem with granting clemency to people who've been incarcerated, mass incarceration, for something that should not have happened to them. Especially when my own doctor says, my own doctor that's licensed to practice medicine, he says, well, when I was asking him about ways to get off the blood pressure medication, he told me to my own face. He said, well, he uses it to deal with stress. And he's a doctor that prescribes prescription medication. And I asked him, would he be able to prescribe it? And he said, no, he can't. He can't? Because of the legal reasons behind it. That's important. I want to make sure that I do my part in telling people that I always say talk to your doctor, but even me, I have the juxtaposition of talking to my doctor and asking my doctor, what would it take for me to maybe get off the meds? Because it's made me puffy before I got on the agents, the medication. I was dealing with body fat of about, I would say 10%. And then when I got on the meds, it made my body swell up more. And some people say that swelling is a reaction to the body trying to fight off something that's foreign coming into its existence. And I think most people can testify that when they started the medication, yeah, it may lower your blood pressure, but it has other side effects also that affects people. And so when I talk about protecting my assets, it's not just with financial services, but everybody on some type of medication, we got to know what the outcome is. That's important to me. I want to give that some praise that Mike Tyson went to the President of the United States and asking him for a solution. And that solution, if he can get it done, imagine what it does to grant clemency to 3,000 people who are not incarcerated for a heinous crime. They're incarcerated because maybe they're trying to heal themselves. I always do a show when I talk about the Veterans Crisis Hotline because they're there to help people going through issues. And I tell people, call that hotline. Because there are people that need help. They need to know that someone's there to help them and not just incarcerate them. And I love giving out that PSA, Veterans Crisis Line, 800-273-8255. 800-273-8255, or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net, and you can get yourself some help. That's important. And I love being able to do that with Big C Sports. I want to close out today with something that I think will help a lot of people, and it's important that people have that help. I talked about it just the other day on the program, how if you know of people who've been through issues, it's retired athletes, they gave some lessons from their financial victories and agonizing defeats. And I've mentioned it before, with the RDC team, as a business development consultant, we simply want to help people protect their assets, if that makes sense to you. So there's some retired athletes. They too often face financial ruin. According to authoritative reporting by Sports Illustrated, approximately 78% of NFL players either go bankrupt or face some serious financial stress within 2 years of ending their playing careers, while about 60% of NBA players are broke within 5 years of retiring from the game. Now, I'm not using this as an excuse, but especially for football players, there are times when people go through a lot of trauma. By playing that sport, they become broken. And many of them will use some type of cannabis that even my doctor says that he uses, but he cannot prescribe it. So when it comes to protecting your assets, even my doctor told me that he uses it, but he can't prescribe it to me. And maybe that's why a lot of guys that have mental issues, health issues, whatever it is, and they lose a lot. Some guys get into drinking too much, or maybe they get into illegal drugs, or whatever it is. But more recent data from the National Bureau of Economic Research estimates that 2% of all retired football players file for bankruptcy within the first 2 years of retirement, and almost 16% by year 12. And while professional athletes may reach superstardom in the arena, their lives outside the stadium can often be difficult or wrecked with financial strain. Because a lot of guys go through mental health, or they need some help. Especially when you get used to getting a big paycheck every week, and then when you get cut from the team, like a lot of teams are cutting players now, they got a reality hits them in the face. They overextended themselves. They have too many women that want to sit down and have a drink with them, just trying to get some of their assets, if that makes sense to you. Not everybody says they like your assets are good for you. Like I had someone tell me, same thing. They want to sit down and have a drink and talk about asset protection. Well, I can send you the information. I don't want to meet you for a drink. How's that going to help me? But people do what they want to do. Men and women, sometimes they just lie about what they really want. And they say they're doing one thing, but they really have another motive. They just want to get some of your assets, if that makes sense to you. And that's what I'm saying. Be careful, people. Use that lie detector test that I bought at the dollar store. That thing works. Give it some praise. Give it praise because it works. So when athletes deal with superstardom in the arena, their lives outside the stadium can be difficult. And they need to have some help. And one would think that if you're making hundreds of millions of dollars over the course of your career, that you could retire easily. But it's not always the case. Because there's a lot of people coming after your assets, if that makes sense to you. And that puts a strain on people. There are people that want you to invest in their Ponzi scheme. They just need you to give them $1 million. And if you give them $1 million, they're going to make you $10 million. Well, if they're going to do that, have them put up the $1 million. If that makes sense to you. And a lot of athletes, they get taken for everything they have. And the person that takes the money, oftentimes, they're not even a bank. But you just got to be careful and protect your assets, if that makes sense to you. Get that lie detector test that I bought at the dollar store. This stuff, it works. It told me my age, told me where I was born, my height, my weight, told me my favorite color, even told me my favorite food was a collard green. But that's not hard to imagine because I love collard greens. But that's what I want to say. You look at the realm of professional sports, and the half-life of one's earnings can be short-lived compared to money management problems of people who have a 9-to-5 jobs. You know, you may not have the stress of a person that's trying to hold on to tens of millions of dollars. And no one's going to have sympathy for that kind of person, obviously. But there are people who need help. We all need help. We all need somebody to lean on. Give praise to having somebody to lean on and not being judgmental when you go through problems. I've been through my own problems. I've been through my own depressions. I've been through my own joy, pain, sunshine, and rain. It is nice to have somebody lean on you that's not going to lie to you or try to be just a liar. And some people do what they can to take what they can from you. And I've seen that too. People say they love you, and then they're doing whatever they can to hurt you. But so athletes go through that too. And I just want to say, if you need help, go get help. that's a great thing. I want to close with this. There are some tips that some successful retirement people talked about based on stories of professional athletes who retired, found the thrill of victory, gone even after their sports career ended. They lost it all when the stadium stopped cheering for them and the lights went out and this money stopped rolling in. And that's why I say 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. Working with the RDC team specialized to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your ass since without the spin down in California. All paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by our staff of entitlement specialists. Ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary. Benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescriptions, medical equipment costs, and more protection of your ass since, if that makes sense to you, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family, avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program, a one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums. For the rest of your life, you got to give that some praise. I say give it praise, praise, praise. That's my thing. I'm thinking with it. I love always telling people, do your own fact-finding, do your own research. I just gave you a story today about what the great Mike Tyson is talking about for his own business. And you can look into it and see if it's for you or if it's not for you. That's a story that we all got to look at. If that makes sense to you, give it that some praise. Give it praise, praise, praise. I love always giving praise to my beautiful family legacy. On my mother's side, my great-grandmother called her mama, a beautiful, loving, kind woman. Always lots of love and lots of food in the belly. My beautiful great-granddaddy called him Pop, from a military man and from a Negro League baseball player, known as the real McCoy, can fix anything, planes, trains, and automobiles. Really do appreciate him. And then my beautiful grandmother, Mud Deer, beautiful, loving, kind woman. She was a seer. She could oftentimes look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, their present, and their future. And then my beautiful grandfather, Hezekiah, another one of a person, could oftentimes look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, their present, and their future. Really do appreciate him. And then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and also coached an all-boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. The best person I ever met in my life. Love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. On my father's side, my grandfather, Albert Curry, he was a pastor, had 3 churches, owned 2 gas stations in Oakland. He also owned 40 acres of land, like the Emancipation Proclamation. He owned 40 acres of land. A very smart man, hardworking man. And then my beautiful grandmother, working side by side with my grandfather, with the churches in Oakland, also working with the 2 gas stations. And then I was 8 years old, walking through a hallway one night, about 10 o'clock at night. I felt her touch me on my forehead. And she said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some more cookies?" I said, What are you doing, Grandma? It's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some more cookies?" I said, "Cookies are baby crap to what I'm doing. I'm going to get my reparations." And a few cookies wouldn't hurt. She touched me and said, "There's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak." And now I'm on 29 podcast platforms and streaming on 4 TV platforms. Really do appreciate her. My beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that planes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. Always saying develop your mind to its highest extent. Love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful brother Todd with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning when Todd speak. Always saying go forward. A voracious reader. Really do appreciate Todd. Love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful daughter Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors in 3.5 years from a major university. Helped me set up the very first interview for Big C Sports back at Salem Media. It became the first time in the history of the United States of America that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. They would normally go to ESPN, but because of 2 black men in the crew, they did it. But shenanigans set up and the show went away. I'm still standing. Daisy, you can be anything you want. Always trust God. Isaiah 54:17. That no weapons formed against you will prosper. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College student, very smart, erudite, a good man. You can be anything you want to be. Malcolm helped me save trees. I used to always get newspapers and look up stats for a Big C Sports podcast on athletes and teams. One day Malcolm said, "Dad, why don't you just Google it?" And a light bulb went off. I've been Googling ever since. And one day Malcolm said, "Dad, do you want to see Big C Sports on TV?" I said, "Sure." He said, "Pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say play Big C Sports. You will see your show come up." That's before it was even on the air. Now streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon and Fire TV. Malcolm, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. You can be anything you want. Always trust God, Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against you will prosper. You can be anything. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then Big C, with all that wealth and knowledge over the years, always saying you got to believe, you got to believe, you got to believe, saying let's get ready to rumble. I love it, saying welcome to the show. SB nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. I have no three-way teleprompters. No producer in my ear. I do my show with my higher self, and I trust God, and that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You could call Uber. You could call Lyft. You could walk it off. You could sleep it off. But don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car and start drinking and driving. The life you say may be your own or someone you love. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, back by popular demand. Back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly. You sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat, because every time I listen to Big C Sports, it makes me want to say reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee. There's no one greater than Muhammad Ali. My beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to have somebody going up beside your head saying, you made me mad. That's when I went upside your head. You yelled at me. That's why I went upside your head. You asked me too many questions. That's why I went upside your head. Nobody should ever have to put up with that crap. Pick up the phone and call 911. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you, on every Big C Sports show, I want to honor Dr. King and President Abraham Lincoln. When they said, reparations now, sign reparations forever. Say it like your team just won the game. Say it a little bit louder. Dr. King was with Lyndon Baines Johnson when he signed long-term care entitlements into law with civil rights. Sign reparations now. Sign reparations forever. Come on, say it like your team just won the Super Bowl. Sign reparations now. Sign reparations forever. I thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have a super fantastic day.